Have you ever felt it? That gnawing emptiness in the pit of your stomach, even when surrounded by noise, by people, by the relentless demands of a life that feels not entirely your own. A profound sense of being adrift, a ship without a rudder, tossed by a tempestuous sea of expectations and fleeting desires. You scroll through images of curated perfection, of lives seemingly lived with effortless joy, and a voice whispers from the shadows of your mind, "Why not me? Why do I feel so lost?" This isn't a fleeting mood. It's a disquiet of the soul, a silent scream into a void that offers no echo. You've chased the mirages, the fleeting highs of a new purchase, the temporary validation of likes and followers, the deceptive comfort of distraction. Yet the void remains, perhaps even widens. You are not broken. You are not alone in this echoing chamber of modern despair. What if I told you this feeling of being lost, this profound disconnect, was diagnosed over 2 millennia ago? What if the ancient whispers of a philosopher, a man who walked through sun-drenched Athenian agoras, hold the precise key to understanding the shadows that cling to your 21st century heart? You think you're navigating a new kind of darkness, but humanity has been charting these treacherous waters for centuries. And the map has been there all along, waiting for you to find the courage to read it. Prepare to confront the unsettling truth of why you feel so utterly adrift, and more importantly, how the timeless wisdom of a master thinker can guide you back to a shore you might have forgotten even existed. The path to reclaiming control begins not by looking outward, but by daring to look within. Aristotle. The name itself conjures images of ancient scrolls, of marble halls echoing with profound discourse. Born in Stagira, Greece, in 384 BC, he wasn't just a philosopher, he was a polymath, a titan of thought whose inquiries spanned logic, ethics, politics, biology, metaphysics, and poetry. He was the student of Plato, and later the tutor of Alexander the Great, a mind that shaped empires and continues to shape our understanding of what it means to be human. But beyond the monumental intellect and the historical grandeur, there was a man deeply concerned with the practical art of living well, of achieving eudaimonia. This Greek term, often translated as happiness or flourishing, is far richer, far deeper than the fleeting pleasures we often chase. For Aristotle, eudaimonia wasn't a passive state of bliss, it was an active state of being, the fulfillment of our inherent human potential, living a life of purpose and virtue. He observed the world, human nature, with an almost surgical precision. He saw that everything in nature has a telos, an end, a purpose, a function. The telos of an acorn is to become an oak tree. The telos of a knife is to cut. And what, he dared to ask, is the telos of a human being? His answer resonates through the ages, a direct challenge to our modern, often aimless existence. It is to live a life of reason and virtue. He said, "Happiness is the meaning and the purpose of life, the whole aim and end of human existence. But this isn't the passive, Instagram-filtered happiness. It's the profound satisfaction that comes from actualizing your highest capacities, from living in accordance with your deepest, most rational self." This is where his wisdom intersects so powerfully with our contemporary sense of being lost. If we don't understand our telos, our purpose, how can we possibly navigate the complexities of life without feeling adrift? How can we chart a course if we don't even know our destination? Aristotle offers not just a diagnosis, but a framework for rediscovering that intrinsic purpose, that internal compass that so many of us feel has shattered. So where does this pervasive feeling of being lost, this aching spiritual disorientation, truly begin? Aristotle would argue it stems from a fundamental misalignment, a tragic deviation from our inherent nature. The pain you feel, that hollow echo in the chambers of your being, is the cry of your unrealized potential. Think about it. Society bombards you with external metrics of success, wealth, status, fleeting pleasures, the accumulation of things. You are told from a young age what you should want, what you should achieve, often without any regard for your innate talents, your genuine passions, your individual virtues. You chase these phantoms, these externally imposed goals, believing they hold the key to fulfillment. You climb a ladder only to realize with crushing despair that it was leaning against the wrong wall. This is the genesis of the pain. It's the friction between your authentic self, that rational, virtuous being Aristotle believed you were meant to be, and the artificial persona you've constructed, or allowed to be constructed for you. Consider the countless hours spent in jobs that deaden the soul, pursuing careers chosen for prestige or financial security, rather than genuine alignment with your abilities and values. Think of the relationships maintained out of obligation or fear of loneliness, rather than mutual growth and virtuous connection. Each compromise, each step away from your telos, adds another layer to the sense of being lost. It's the artist forced into accounting, the philosopher told to be practical, the caregiver neglecting their own well-being to meet incessant demands. You see it in the eyes of people scrolling endlessly, seeking a momentary escape from a life that feels unchosen. This isn't just an abstract philosophical concept, it's the lived reality of millions. The pain is real because the loss of self is real. You are a symphony conductor forced to play a broken flute, and the dissonance is tearing you apart. Why do we remain ensnared in this cycle of silent suffering, this labyrinth of lost purpose? Because we are fed a potent illusion, a carefully constructed narrative that keeps us compliant, distracted, and ultimately disconnected from our true power. The illusion is multifaceted. First, there's the lie of external validation, the insidious belief that your worth, your happiness, your very identity is determined by what others think of you, by the accolades you receive, by the material possessions you amass. Society in many ways thrives on this. It wants you to consume, to conform, to seek approval through channels it controls. It doesn't want a populace of self-actualized, critically thinking individuals living in accordance with their own telos. That's too unpredictable, too ungovernable. It prefers you chase the ever-shifting goalposts of trends and superficial achievements. Then there's the illusion of passive happiness, the notion that joy is something that happens to you, a prize you win, rather than something you actively cultivate through virtuous action and rational living. We wait for happiness like an overdue package, growing more despondent with each passing day it doesn't arrive, never realizing it's a seed we must plant and nurture ourselves. And perhaps the most damaging illusion of all, the fear of discomfort. We are conditioned to believe that any form of struggle, any moment of introspection that unearths uncomfortable truths, is to be avoided at all costs. So we numb ourselves with endless entertainment, with busy work, with anything that keeps the deeper questions at bay. The society that whispers, "You are not enough," also conveniently sells you the temporary fixes. It doesn't want you to understand that the very feeling of being lost is a distress signal from your authentic self, urging you to look deeper, to question the script you've been handed. It wants you to believe the map is too complicated, the journey too arduous, so you remain a compliant wanderer in a landscape of its own design. Now, let us strip away these illusions and confront the raw, unvarnished truth, as Aristotle might present it to you. The reality is this: your feeling of being lost is not a defect. It is a consequence of neglecting your uniquely human function, the exercise of reason and the cultivation of virtue. The control you seek, the sense of purpose that eludes you, lies not in rearranging the external circumstances of your life, but in fundamentally reorienting your inner world. Aristotle's truth is stark. Eudaimonia, or true flourishing, is an activity of the soul in accordance with complete virtue. It's not a feeling you stumble upon, it's a state you build, moment by moment, choice by choice. He would tell you that your purpose isn't bestowed by society, or found in a job title, or purchased with wealth. It is intrinsic to your nature as a rational being. Excellence is an art won by training and habituation, he wrote. We do not act rightly because we have virtue or excellence, but we rather have those because we have acted rightly. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. This is a liberating and terrifying truth. Liberating because it means the power to change, to find your way, rests entirely within you. Terrifying because it places the responsibility squarely on your shoulders. No more blaming external factors, no more waiting for a savior. The path out of the wilderness is paved with conscious, virtuous actions. It means identifying your unique talents and capacities, your personal excellences, and finding ways to express them, not for applause, but for the inherent satisfaction of actualizing your potential. It means cultivating moral virtues, courage, temperance, justice, generosity, not as abstract ideals, but as practical guides for your daily interactions. The good life, for Aristotle, is not a life of ease, but a life of striving, of becoming the best version of yourself. The control you crave comes from this internal locus, from mastering your impulses through reason, from choosing virtue over vice, meaning over fleeting pleasure. The moment this Aristotelian truth pierces through the fog of illusion, a profound internal conflict often erupts. It's the dissonance between the life you have been living and the life your awakened soul now yearns for. This is not a gentle awakening. It can be a seismic shock. Suddenly the familiar comforts of your old life, the distractions that once soothed you, may feel hollow, even suffocating. The voices of societal expectation, once authoritative, now sound like hollow echoes. This is the battlefield of the self. On one side, the ingrained habits, the fear of change, the comfort of the known, however unfulfilling. On the other, the nascent whisper of your telos, the burgeoning desire for authenticity, for a life lived with intention and virtue. You may experience grief for the time lost, for the potential unexpressed. Anger, too, at the illusions that held you captive. There's a powerful temptation to retreat, to slip back into the shadows of comforting ignorance. The journey towards eudaimonia requires courage, the courage to confront your own shortcomings, to make difficult choices, to perhaps disappoint those who prefer the old you. This internal struggle is not a sign of failure. It is the very crucible of transformation. It is here in this wrestling with your former self that the seeds of genuine change are sown. Aristotle knew that virtue is not easily won. It requires constant vigilance, conscious effort. There will be moments of doubt, of relapse. You might stumble, but each time you choose reason over impulse, virtue over expediency, you are forging a new neural pathway, strengthening the muscle of your authentic self. This conflict is the necessary precursor to rebirth. It's the caterpillar dissolving within the chrysalis, a painful, disorienting process, but essential for the emergence of something far more beautiful and free. Embrace the turmoil, for it is the herald of your own becoming. How, then, do we navigate this transformative conflict and begin the work of reconstruction, of building a life aligned with our true purpose? Aristotle's philosophy doesn't just offer a diagnosis, it provides a practical toolkit for liberation. The first step is self-reflection through reason. Take inventory. What are your innate talents? What activities make you feel truly alive, engaged, and virtuous? Not what you're told you should be good at, or what brings external rewards, but what genuinely resonates with your core. This requires quiet contemplation, a courageous turning inward. Secondly, cultivate virtuous habits. As Aristotle famously stated, we are what we repeatedly do. Start small. Identify one area where you can act with more courage, more temperance, more justice, or more generosity today. Practice it. Repeat it. Virtue is not an abstract concept, it's embodied action. Choose the golden mean, the desirable middle ground between extremes of deficiency and excess. For instance, courage is the mean between cowardice and recklessness. Generosity is the mean between stinginess and profligacy. Third, seek virtuous friendships. Aristotle placed immense value on philia, or brotherly love, particularly friendships based on shared virtue. Surround yourself with people who inspire you, who challenge you to be better, who are also striving for their own telos. These relationships provide support, accountability, and the joy of shared growth. Fourth, engage in activities that utilize your highest rational capacities. This could be learning a new skill, engaging in meaningful work, even if it's not your primary job, participating in thoughtful dialogue, or contributing to your community in a way that uses your unique strengths. It's about exercising that uniquely human capacity for reason and aiming for excellence in its application. This is not a quick fix. It is the patient, persistent work of a lifetime. But each conscious step, each virtuous act, chips away at the edifice of your former lost self and lays a new stone in the foundation of a life of purpose and flourishing. The power to reconstruct is already within you, waiting to be wielded by your own awakened reason. You came here feeling lost, a wanderer in a fog of unspoken anxieties. Now, you stand at a precipice, armed with an ancient wisdom that echoes with startling relevance. The path to reclaiming control, to finding your unique telos, is not an external quest for some hidden treasure. It is an internal revolution, a courageous commitment to live a life of reason and virtue. The shadows of doubt may still linger. The siren song of easy illusions may still call. But Aristotle has handed you a compass, one that points not north or south, but inward, towards the unwavering truth of your own potential. The pain of being lost was never a sign of your deficiency, but a testament to the strength of the authentic self, yearning to break free. Will you continue to drift in the shallow waters of societal expectation, forever a ship without a captain? Or will you seize the helm guided by the timeless stars of reason and virtue and steer your life towards the shores of genuine flourishing? The choice, as it has always been, is yours. The profound ache of being lost can be the very catalyst for the most significant journey you will ever undertake, the journey back to yourself. What one virtuous act, however small, will you commit to today to begin charting your new course? The unexamined life, after all, is not worth living, but the examined life, the lived life of purpose, that is the masterpiece you were born to create. If this video touched something within you, leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear this today. Comment below what resonated most with you, what made you think. We'll see you in the next video.